Welcome to Under Investigation, Stories Beyond the Badge. Join a seasoned detective as he steps away from the crime scene and into the lives of fascinating individuals. Through candid interviews and thought-provoking conversations, we explore the stories that shape us, covering personal struggles, triumphs, and the powerful intersections of faith, family, and life. Each episode brings unique perspectives and inspiring insights from people living diverse, authentic lives. Now, let's dive into today's story.
Well, hello, everybody. Thanks again for joining another episode of Beyond the Badge. I think I just had a senior moment there. I forgot the name of my own podcast, which is scary. But anyways, great way to start, right?
Oopsies.
I was looking at you like, help me, but I'm like, yeah, you're not going to say anything, are you? Okay. Well, anyways, welcome back to another episode. Appreciate you all joining me again. I am your host, Mike, of course. And today we have Lee with us. So Lee, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Literally, hello, everyone. Okay. So also, disclaimer, we have the studio dog in-house tonight. So she may bark. She may make noise. She may chew on her bone. Who knows what she's going to do, but we'll just roll with it like we always do. So how you been, Lee?
Fabulous.
How's work been going?
Oh, great.
Oh, great. I love it. Are you sweating a lot at work these days?
Yes.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So you and I work together.
We do.
Yeah, we probably won't. I don't know. I don't think we'll talk about work much.
Mm-mm.
Because that's really not the point of today's story.
Yes.
Today's story is actually much more serious and fairly new in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the last couple of years.
Yep.
But today we're going to talk about your journey with cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So you okay with that?
I am okay with that.
Are you going to cry?
Not probably.
Oh, good. I like that.
Yeah.
Stay strong.
Yeah. I cried a few times during the journey, but not too much anymore.
Good. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I probably shouldn't say don't cry because that sounds terrible.
Yes.
I'm very insensitive when I say that.
That's okay.
My wife's going to yell at me later. How can you say that to her? She's so nice. Well, we're coworkers. We're kind of blunt.
Exactly.
Oh, so let's talk a little bit about you. Are you married? You got any children? You got any dogs? You got any like sports cars or anything fun, exciting?
Not too many exciting toys, but I do have 2 dogs, 2 boys, and a husband.
And I forgot you have that one killer dog.
We do. They'll kill you with love.
The killer dog. Okay, before we get into this, just because I'm a storyteller, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
so we're going to get into this just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So was it 2 summers ago that I got mauled?
Well,
think it was 2
it was
summers ago.
after we had him. So I think 1 summer ago.
Was it?
'Cause we've had him for a year and a half.
Wow. Okay, so I can't even remember my own life story.
No.
So last summer, we're going to go with last summer.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I were shopping at the local boutique. For those who live in this state, they'll know what I mean by that.
Exactly.
But I was shopping at the local boutique and I got mauled.
Mm-hmm.
I say the word mauled, but I got attacked by a dog
We did.
and it wasn't nice.
No.
So it was a pit bull. Might have been a mix, might have been a pure. I have no idea. It just had really big fangs. And it absolutely ruined I call them my house sweats, which are my comfy sweats that I like to wear around the house. As a matter of fact, I still have those sweats today as a reminder of the trauma.
You've got to get rid of those.
Well, yeah, my wife wanted me to get rid of them too, and I actually told her I was going to.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't find any other sweats that are as comfy. So
Boy,
I keep going back.
constant memory.
So I keep going back to them. Oh, and every time I put them on, I like put my fingers in the holes,
Oh, no.
and so I can't forget. But anyways, a little bit about before we get into this, just a little bit about like your work position and how it involves animals a little bit.
I wear a lot of hats at work, but yes, a big part of my job has to do with animals, wild animals, domestic animals, cute dogs left in townhouses abandoned that sucker me in.
Attack dogs.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They'll attack you with kisses.
Sure. Yeah. I'm still not convinced about that. But anyways, so So in this particular case, I got mauled by this dog.
Mhm.
In all fairness, mauled is probably a little much, but I got bit.
Yes. you
And
did.
and I had to get the cops involved because, rabies and all that kind of stuff. But I got bit by this dog. And so the joke between us for a while, because I'm a dog lover.
Yep.
I like, and I think I've even said it on the podcast. I like dogs more than I like people normally.
Same.
And so, but when I got attacked by this dog, the joke between you and I have been that this, killer dogs all the time.
Yes.
And what's the one thing you told me about these type of dogs that's such a misunderstanding? Like,
Well, I don't remember that, but
something about labs.
we've had some very, very vicious labs in the city that we work for.
I don't believe that.
We have.
My studio dog's a lab, and she loves people.
A lot of the bites that we get are not the breeds that you would think.
Oh, but I think
The vast majority.
I think they are.
But we have had some bad ones with them too. So
Well, we
it
just
just
had one.
depends.
We
Yes,
just had
we
one
did.
a couple weeks ago. But anyway, so the joke has always been you got this vicious dog, and so
Yeah.
but you got this dog. Tell a little bit of the story of how you got this dog.
We got called out to a townhouse because it was January and a large amount of water was dumping outside of the walls of the townhouse. So we got called because that's obviously strange any time of year, but especially in the middle of the winter. And when we arrived there, we quickly discovered that the townhouse was almost empty. So had been vacated by the renters that we
The renters. You better air
yeah,
quote that a little
yeah,
bit.
exactly. The fake renters with their fake IDs. But anyways,
If there was a good detective, he would have solved that.
yeah, I know.
AKA me.
But the fire alarms were also going off, so we called the fire department out to turn those off. And as they were checking the townhouse out, they told me, "Hey, Lee, there's a dog in here." And Mr. Rocky was sticking his head around the corner of the stairs waiting for some help, and we got him out, and he suckered me in with his big brown eyes, and now he's ours.
And Rocky, I mean, just to be fair, Rocky, he was kind of malnourished and stuff, wasn't he? He wasn't in great shape.
No, he was a 2-year-old American bully, and he was under 40 pounds, so very, very small for his breed.
AKA bulldog, AKA killer dog.
No.
All right, I get it. I'll be nice about the dog stuff, but I don't know. You never know.
Oh, see? That's him. That is him.
I don't think so. All right, so that's the little warm up story. So Lee rescued this attack dog, and it's now a member of your family.
He is.
And and your kiddos get along.
They love him.
And does Rocky love back?
Oh, yes.
Is Rocky protective of your family, or do you know?
No.
No, pretty chill.
No.
Okay. Now, in fairness, I haven't seen him since early on. So
No, he's a love. And for what he probably went through, he turned out pretty darn good. So
yeah, that'll be the one serious point of this.
Yes.
My end of this conversation, anyways, for this podcast. But so let's kind of jump right into it, just simply because I want to know about kind of what you went through and kind of how it unfolded. So, how long have you and your hubby been married?
we got married in 2012. So this October, it'll be 13 years.
Okay. And your kids were approximately what age when this kind of unfolded? Just to give a bigger
They
picture.
would have been 6 and 4.
Okay. So pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
Not really old enough to understand large picture stuff, I would
No.
imagine, huh? Okay. So let's talk about this. So what kind of cancer is a proper term did or do have?
Did.
Did.
Now it's out. Thankfully.
Okay. So what is what kind of cancer were you diagnosed with?
Breast cancer, but the form was triple negative, which means that it was not hormone fed, which can make it more aggressive. So it was an aggressive form of breast cancer. I had 2 lymph nodes that were already involved, so it was stage 3 because it had spread to lymph nodes.
Okay. So from what my understanding of cancer, and when you hear these different stages, stage 3 is kind of like, I mean, for me that hasn't studied it
Mm-hmm.
all that in depth. That's kind of the panic button, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Because stage 4 is generally not treatable. So
Okay.
they will try to maintain as much as they can so that it doesn't spread to other parts that it's not already spread to. But stage 3 is the last of the stages where it is localized into one area of the body.
All right. So how long ago was this? When did you get this
3 years,
news?
just over 3 years ago.
And so what made you, was it like a routine check or what why did you go get checked out to begin with? I mean, how did this get on your radar? I guess is what I'm getting at.
No, I was 40 at the time, so time for mammograms. But Ben, my husband, had just been deployed and had just come home probably about 3 or 4 months before I was diagnosed. And so I hadn't kept up on all of my appointments as I probably should have. But anyway, so it was not, I hadn't even scheduled the appointment to go. So what happened was I randomly found my mass and knew instantly that it was bad. It was either going to be a cyst or cancer because of where it was, not a normal spot to have a lump. And it was
So
pretty
you
big
you
by that
knew
point.
like I mean I don't normally swear, but it's like an oh shit moment.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Were you at home? I mean, were you at work
Mhm.
or okay?
Yeah, I do remember details that I probably wouldn't remember for anything else, but it was a Friday, so it was the end of the week. And it was when I was working the road almost every day for work. So I wore the same vest for however many years, over 10 years every day. And when I came
Bullet
home,
resistant vest,
yeah,
not like a stylish vest.
yeah,
So
exactly.
so for those who don't necessarily know what those feel like, they're kind of tight on the body.
Yeah.
They're heavy, or they can be heavy, a
Yep.
couple pounds, which you
Mhm.
wear that all day, it gets heavy.
And they're snug.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I understand what you're saying when you say,
Yeah. So when I took that, it was obviously off. This was at night that I made the discovery. But when I was showering at the end of the day, I discovered that I was sore where my vest would have been sitting on one side, which is very abnormal for me. I'm not usually sore from wearing my work uniform. And so after a little bit more discovery, I found a very large abnormality that obviously did throw me into panic mode right away because I've never had anything like that. So I knew that wasn't normal for me. But yeah, I knew right away that it was either a very large cyst that should not be there or it was cancer.
So I mean, you're at home alone. Are you alone?
Well, no, Ben was home.
Ben was home.
So I came down and told him right away.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then what do you do? I mean, I just emotionally, I'm thinking in my mind, I got to call somebody, but you can't call 911 because it's not like a
Yeah.
911 scenario, but it's like, what goes through your mind at that, or what did go through your mind at that point?
Well, it was a rough time to find it. It was a Friday evening. So
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't even call my doctor until Monday. So nope, went through the weekend and called my doctor on Monday just to see what I was supposed to do. I actually called to schedule a mammogram, thinking I could just jump to that step. But because I hadn't been an established patient there, I had to go see my OB
Okay.
instead first because that's who they are kind of paired with. So I called their office and explained what was going on and got into their office. It was still, I think it was like the next week. They couldn't get me in right away. So I was there within probably a week and a half of finding that.
So by the time you found it and by the time you actually, and it's not like you're going to get answers right away, right?
Right.
Even at the doctor.
Yep.
I mean, in that week and a half, did you hit Dr. Google?
No, I didn't Google till.
Oh, that's probably
Actually,
smart.
you know what? I probably did, but my main Googling then was because when I didn't have my vest on, it only hurt the one night. It was only sore one night. So it hadn't been sore before, which is part of the reason I didn't find it earlier, most likely. And also, even after I found it, it was not sore. So I do think that in fact, I know I Googled whether or not breast cancer hurt or not, the mass, because I was trying to figure out if I could lean towards, yep, it's a cyst, no, it's not, type thing.
Yep.
That turned out to not be accurate because what I did find, it said the cysts were not painful. So I thought, oh, perfect, it's a cyst.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
no, I was wrong.
Yeah.
But that I did Google.
When you told Ben, how did that conversation start? Was it like, "Hey, sit down, I got something to," I mean,
No, we were still parenting. The kids were up.
oh yeah.
He was down in the living room, so I came down and told him. I don't think I asked him to feel it. I think I just knew, like, no, this isn't good, and told him my initial thoughts. And um I don't know what his thoughts were.
Right.
If he thought, yep, it's that or not. I was very convinced that something was wrong, so I was very vocal about that. But obviously, with the kids especially, didn't want to say anything until I knew something to not scare
Used
them.
adult language.
Right. Yep. And I do think that
Code.
we did not discuss it very much when the kids were up. So there wasn't a lot of discussion until the doctor.
Was that must have been a difficult week and a half, I would imagine.
It was. And actually, I think this might be one of your questions later, but you actually saw on my Facebook some post about like unknowns or something that I had posted.
Mm-hmm.
You actually messaged me before the appointment.
Mm.
So you and I know each other very well, and I think you had an inkling that was referencing something.
Yeah, I do remember that. And I remember it was like, it was what I call a vague,
Yep.
vague book
Yep.
post
Mhm.
where and that's not your style.
Yeah.
You're not one that
Yep.
looks for attention, generally
Mhm.
speaking. So, well, I wouldn't even say generally speaking. I don't know
Yeah.
if you ever have sought
Yeah.
attention, but so yeah, I do remember that, and we are good friends. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I do recall that. That was
And that was before my appointment.
so. You go to your appointment, and first of all, and I'm not, again, tell me to shut up if I need to shut up, but when you're feeling for mass,
Mhm.
I, as a guy, I mean, I know, I've seen all the videos where
Mhm.
girls lift your arm, blah blah
Yep.
blah blah blah, do that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
When you're talking a mass, are we talking like what is a mass? Is like are we talking golf ball? Are we talking a pee? I mean, what I know it could be
Yeah.
different for different women, but I mean, I don't know if I
Part
would
of
ever
it depends
notice.
on the stage.
Oh, it
So
does. Okay.
way down the road, like when I had surgery, probably over a year. Well, I'm trying to think of when that would have been. I think it was, no, it wasn't quite a year before, like since diagnosis. It was about 9 months later when I had surgery. My surgeon said that the amount it had grown between finishing chemo and surgery started growing again.
Mm-hmm.
The amount it grew then explained why it was so large when I found it. When I found it, it was the size of a lime already. And usually,
See, that doesn't seem that large to me.
well, and the hard part is that it was not like a ball. It's not firm like a lime or anything. It was a difference in texture almost.
Oh, okay.
But
So
it was
just felt-
sore there,
felt
so I
different.
knew this is not normal. And I really never had anything else like that. I knew it was different. But it was very large by then already, and it's because of the type that I had was so aggressive
Mhm.
that it took off really fast once it started growing.
Do you have a family history of any cancer?
My mom did have breast cancer.
Okay, so that's already on your mind, I would
Yep.
imagine, as part
Mhm.
of your processing.
Yep.
Okay. So week and a half, go to the doctor. What's that appointment?
That was
Look like?
another hard appointment because the doctor I saw, I'd actually seen, multiple times through 2 pregnancies, so I knew her. And I, basically they asked why I was there, what my findings were. I told her what I had seen on Google, that I was hoping it was a cyst, whatever. And all she could do, because they don't do mammograms at that clinic, was she tried to verify like the size of it initially. And she could tell I was nervous. So she said, she called the clinic herself to try to get me in as soon as possible for a mammogram. They didn't have any appointments, even with that rush request, till the next week.
Wow.
So all she could do was measure it. And I actually talked to her in the middle of my treatment, and she said, yep, I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't tell you that before
Right.
mammogram to not send you into full panic.
Right.
And so she knew it wasn't probably good, whatever she was feeling. But
So I'm trying to keep track of time here.
Yeah.
So 2.5 weeks ish.
yeah, by the time I found it to when it was confirmed.
Okay, and I guess are they able to diagnose at the mammogram?
The doctor was very certain that's what it was.
Oh, okay.
At the mammogram. So I got sent to the mammogram clinic, and because it was a questionable finding, I guess, from my OB's office, they authorized a biopsy if
Okay.
the other clinic felt it was needed. So after my mammogram, they actually had me do an ultrasound too. And then the radiologist came in and said he was highly suspicious that it was breast cancer.
Okay.
And so because they had been given the green light to do a biopsy, they did it while I was there on my lymph nodes that he said were swollen.
Oh, in the
Yeah.
same appointment?
Yep. Before we left.
Well, I mean, that's good,
Yeah.
I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like you're another week, you know.
Yeah. Yep. So yes, they did a biopsy there. And then I found that was on a Friday. Found out Monday that yep, it's for sure cancer.
Okay, so they tested it over the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. So now treatment plan, right? I mean,
Mhm.
I would assume that's the next step. What options were you given?
I really wasn't given much of a choice with the order. They kind of throw you into a tailspin of appointments right away. So, you meet with the surgeon, trying to think of, I think the surgeon was the first person that we met with because they give you the staging. So they kind of look over all the mammograms and ultrasound to get an accurate size.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to wait for those biopsies to come back before they can tell you what type it is and things like that. So, after the surgeon would have had that information, we met with the surgeon. And my initial thought, only because with the few people I knew with cancer before, they typically had surgery right away and then did their treatment. When I went to my appointment, she said, nope, with your type, we do chemo first, actually, and then surgery and then radiation. Because that one was such an aggressive form, they take every angle they can to try to get rid of it. So
you said chemo first,
yep.
surgery, and then continue treatment with radiation afterwards?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I didn't realize that's the order but that's the order of that particular cancer.
Yep. So for most breast cancer, it's surgery first, but for this one, it's not.
And what's the point? Is it to knock down the size just a little bit?
Well, so that it does give more options for surgery if you can shrink it right away. But also it was explained to me that there's, especially when you're at a later stage or an aggressive cancer at any stage, there can be cancer cells floating around the rest of the body already.
Mhm.
So they try to knock it up systematically with chemo first so that if you have surgery, you're not delaying treatment
Right.
to get rid of other cells that are already going.
Because chemo attacks the whole body
Yep.
where radiation is very focused.
Right.
Okay.
And if they did surgery, they could get your initial mass out, but if there's other cancer cells floating around already, they're not going to get that out.
Okay. That makes sense.
So it just kind of depends on the type you have and what their recommendation is, but doing chemo first for mine is the standard treatment now.
So tell me a little bit about chemo. So chemo is a liquid, correct?
Yep.
And
Well,
it's-
liquid or pill.
Oh, liquid or pill.
Mhm.
What did you do?
Liquid.
Okay. And is there benefit one or the other?
I think they typically do liquid first. My pill form of chemo was after radiation. It was after
Okay.
everything else. They gave me about 4 months of that because of how progressed mine was initially.
Okay. Did you so you're hearing now, okay, you discovered the lump, you got it, you got it checked out.
Yep.
It's confirmed at this point. Chemo. You took liquid. What kind of side effects did you have from chemo? And what kind there's different types of chemo, isn't there?
Yep.
What kind of chemo did you take?
Well, so I had there's 2 phases of chemo for mine. The first one was, it's supposed to be a chemo drug called Taxol,
Mhm.
which I was supposed to start with. And that one, I believe, was every other week that you went in, once a week. Or, one day every other week. And I don't remember there was like 3 different chemo drugs, but that's the main one. And I actually kicked things right off with a pretty significant allergic reaction to
Oh, I
it.
remember that.
Yeah. So,
Like swelling and pain
well,
and
blood pressure went way up, bright
Okay.
red, chest tightening.
ooh.
Yeah. So to back up, like when the nurses start your first session, they said if anything feels off, tell them right away because it's probably a reaction because it's fairly common for people to have a reaction to
Mm.
something.
Okay.
But they never know what you're going to react to until they give it to you, you know. So what ended up happening was I think it was a steroid that they typically give before the chemo drugs. I reacted to that and it was fast. My husband was on the phone with his mom sitting next to me, and I just thought I was getting hot. And so the nurse is like, "Oh, you doing okay?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm just a little warm." And she's like, "Oh no, that's a reaction." So within probably 10 seconds, like full on
Oh.
reaction. It's fast
Oh, I was
it's-
thinking minutes at
no,
first in my
because
head.
it's IV form. It comes
Oh.
on really fast. But I remember having to yell at my husband to get off the phone because I was having a reaction. And of course, it was scary. It was like the second drug they gave me. I was like, oh no, this isn't good.
This is
So,
I'm not in my happy place.
no. And my oncologist had been in the area to just check in on me. And so he actually walked in right after they were reversing it because they can reverse them fairly quickly, which is good.
Well, they have
they
like a
stopped the drug.
neutralizer or something?
I don't. Well, they for
Something.
sure stopped the drug, and then I don't know if they like flush it or something right away. I don't know how that works, but they stopped it really fast. And he said, "Okay, she's going to react to this other drug too, and in order for insurance to pay for the more expensive chemo, that's the alternative. You have to react to the actual chemo drug too, otherwise they won't cover it." So he said she's going to react to that one. So
That's wrong.
yeah, it is. But so
Seriously?
and what happens is there's a binder in the medication, and it's the same binder in both of them. So he said she's allergic to the binder.
The binder.
Yep.
Okay, the binder is what you're reacting to.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
goodness. That's infuriating.
It is, and it's
The doctor
a full
knows.
day of chemo the first day. So I knew that one was coming, and we were there probably close to 6 hours before I got the second medication that kicked me into that. And by that, I'd had so much Benadryl on board that once that reaction happened, they said, "We're not going to finish today. You'll have to come back tomorrow." Because my body was just destroyed from reacting twice. Because the second reaction was actually worse than the first one, too.
I have a problem with the insurance.
Yeah.
Because you said with confidence that the doctor knew you were going to react to
Yep.
the second one.
Yeah. He called it right away.
But yet you still have to put this poison in your
Mhm.
body just so the quote unquote insurance pays for it.
Yep.
That's wrong
Mm-hmm.
on many levels.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So,
There you are, people. Yell
yeah,
at your insurance companies.
exactly. So, yeah, 6 hour day. And thankfully, with the allergic reactions aside, was fine the rest of the day. And the second one they knew was coming. So they had a team ready to go to reverse it because they do have a team. You know, within seconds, you have 4 or 5 people in there
Yeah, I'm sure.
working. Did EKGs both time to make sure that it was okay and that I reversed quickly, which I did, but it's still scary.
Well, yeah, especially if
Um,
you know you're going to
Yeah.
react.
Yep. So after the second reaction, they said, "Yep, we're not going to have you finish today." They had me come in the next day and gave me a alternative drug to that one, which worked fine,
Mhm.
and then didn't wind up with any other reactions. So I did this combination for 3 months every other week, and then the last 3 months is a different drug. I don't know what the full name is, but it's AC. It's called the Red Devil is the nickname for it because it's red and it's
Oh.
very strong. And the nurses have to administer it a certain way so that they aren't at risk administering it.
Oh, wait a second. So they're not at risk. But
Yeah.
what about you that's
Oh,
taking
yeah.
it in
Yeah,
intravenously? Oh, jeez.
it's a real peach.
Oh, I'm going to hide behind this screen in my lead vest while
Yeah.
we pump this.
Exactly.
Ooh.
So then that one's a weekly that you go in for that one. So did a total of 6 months of chemo. Thankfully, obviously lost my hair about
Mhm.
maybe a month into it. And then other than that, my main side effects were I started to get a little neuropathy on my hands and feet, but I actually had chiropractic care with a cold laser therapy on my feet very quickly because I had researched that that works sometimes.
And did
And
it?
yep. So it kept it at bay. Once, past my initial neuropathy, like little beginning to it, my feet didn't get worse. My feet never fully recovered though. I still have a touch of that.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
Okay.
So, but other than that, I don't have any lasting side effects, thankfully. Never got sick. I never threw up once from chemo.
That's usually, at least on TV,
Yeah.
it seems to be a common thing
Yeah.
that, you're always seeing the person throwing up or something.
Mhm.
That didn't happen.
No, never got sick. I got a lot of rashes but that was from the immunotherapy medication that I was also given, which is Keytruda. That's a big one for my type of cancer because it helps with the reoccurrence rate. It drops that reoccurrence rate in the studies that they've done. So it's important for mine. Obviously, we wanted to reduce that as much as we could, but it can destroy your body. There's some people get like very much lasting side effects from that for like their immune systems are shot after. Some people I think can get liver and kidney issues from it too. I never had any other issues with it. So other than skin reactions, which they think I was probably mildly allergic to that too, but the risks of not doing it were much higher
Yeah.
than me just putting up with the skin issues. So I had some skin issues from it, but they gave like steroid creams to help with that. So, there was Band-Aids for those things, but
Were you finding that you were having to advocate for yourself, like, hey, let's try this, or was the doctor really taking the lead on that?
they did a pretty good job of doing that.
Did?
Yeah.
Okay. I always kind of wondered, like, again, my experience is TV, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
you always hear about I had to tell them and argue with
No,
them. And,
they do try to make it as bearable as they can
Yeah.
for you. And then they actually, every appointment, they did blood work ahead of time, like before my chemo appointment, same day. And then, so they're constantly watching your blood counts to make sure that you're stable enough to do that round of chemo. But they would also, I want to say it was maybe every other appointment or every third appointment, you'd meet with a provider too, so that they can make sure that overall things are okay where they're at.
Mhm.
And they also will like recheck your mass if they can. Obviously, depending on where your cancer is, they sometimes can't do that. But mine, they could feel, so they would do an exam to make sure that it was going in the right direction and not responding to chemo. So, and my type of cancer historically does respond well to chemo. So that was part of the reason they wanted to do it first too, is that it does tend to work well on it.
So while it was an aggressive form of cancer, it also has a reputation of responding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say reputation.
Mm-hmm.
It tends to respond.
Yeah.
Okay. And you said 6 months was that a combination of chemo and radiation? Or
No,
was that
just
was
chemo.
6 months of chemo?
Mm-hmm.
So just to back up just a little bit, because 6 months is a long time. How's work at this point? I mean, what's happening with work? I mean, are you working, or did you have to take time off, or what's that look like?
I pretty much immediately went to basically part-time. So I did medical leave, but just a few days a week. So I was still paid for that time, which obviously is very important to us just to make it through that. But I worked, I think, 3 days a week for quite a while. And I always had chemo on Thursdays, so I would have Fridays off to try to recoup. But I would work Monday through Wednesday every week initially. About halfway through chemo, I had kind of a tailspin with my blood counts. So my blood counts dropped very low, which is normal from chemo. Your white blood cells take a beating. And a lot of people end up having to get transfusions to help bring that number back up because your body just can't repair it itself in that state.
Did that happen to you?
Yeah.
You had to get a transfusion?
So we actually were at our camper in Wisconsin, and I ended up getting a fever, which I thought was from an infection because one of my rashes had gotten really angry. And so I went to an ER in Wisconsin, and they had done my blood work again and said, well, you're kind of low, but you're not at transfusion state quite yet. So they just basically sent me out of there after getting some fluids and went back to our camper. The next morning, my fever was back and was higher. So we called my oncology clinic and they said, oh, no, come home and go right to the ER at North Memorial, who was the cancer center that we were using. And I was admitted, I think, for 4 days then for, I forget, it's a type of fever that's directly related to chemo, but it's from your white blood counts. So I got a transfusion the first day and then had on and off fevers for 4 days from that, just from the white blood count being so low.
And you were inpatient at that point?
Yeah.
What did they do for you? I mean, in those 4 days?
Well, they gave me IV antibiotics for 4 days.
Okay.
Because if there was any systematic infection, they want to knock it down because your immune system's shot from chemo. So they gave me that and then just had to wait it out to wait for those fevers to stop. By day 4, they still were kind of coming, but they were slower to come on. After Advil, it would go maybe an hour or two past when that would wear off and then I'd get one. So they were slowing down. And my oncologist finally said, you know what, let her go home and she can just do Advil at home because you've given her the antibiotics. She's fine to go. So I went home and was kind of continuing to go through that. At that point, in the hospital, I thought, I can't keep working like this because I was getting worn down and I knew that I didn't want to get so sick that I couldn't finish chemo because they have to delay chemo sometimes if you do get those fevers.
Okay.
And I didn't want to risk not being able to successfully make it through chemo. So I stopped working at that point, went on leave. And thankfully I did because pretty much, I think it was within a day or two after getting out, found a blood clot too in my leg at that time from being in the hospital and not being up and around, moving around as much because of the fevers.
Right.
And those actually quickly blew off into my lungs. So I wound up with blood clots in both lungs and was hospitalized again for that.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Just keep it rolling. Wow.
So I think I was in another 3 to 4 days. It was a few times each time or a few days each time. But at that point, just knew I couldn't keep working until I was done with surgery and chemo.
What's home life with the boys? I mean, obviously I know, Ben's going to be who Ben is, supportive husband. I mean, I know him, so I know his personality, but the boys, I mean, to what level did you explain to them what actually was going on with you?
To Wyatt, who is my oldest, we explained more to him, not still on a kid level though.
Yeah.
So we actually got a book about a mom having cancer, a kid's book. And so he would know what to expect with the hair loss and things like that. And just knowing that my body was going to slow down. So I would not be able to be running after them, 16 hours a day like normal. And so we explained that to him. And he actually did it very well with the entire treatment time. I had to take daily naps, which with a husband that was working nights at the time and he's sleeping, then that meant that the kids were locked up in the house and I would set a timer. So I would sleep for like an hour a day so that they weren't completely losing their minds, but they knew that I could not do that. Yeah. And so and even with the hair loss, they were really good with that, so.
So it didn't scare them. I mean, they didn't.
I think it probably did.
Okay.
But he, we did explain everything to him. We told him, the hair was going away because I had to be on really strong medication to get rid of this cancer, and that was from that. So we tried to explain it on a understandable level for kids their age. And my youngest probably had no idea what was going on, but because older brother was okay, he was okay.
Right.
Right. So
well, that makes sense, actually. A lot of sense.
Yep. So, but Wyatt was a trooper and they really did fine, but we didn't give him all the details really, but enough to where he understood that things were going to be different for a while.
Yeah. He understood some expectations of what things were, what they were going to look like at least. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, looking back at that now, do you feel that was too much information, not enough? Could you given more? Should have you given less? I mean, I'm thinking of what like questions people might have as they're listening to this.
I don't think so, but our situation was a little unique. With Ben being in the military, they'd had 2 deployments with him being gone for almost a year twice. So they're still very much mommy's boys.
Yeah.
And so when they need something, they come to me first by, just routine.
By nature. Yeah. No, I get it.
And so we kind of had to prepare them that I wasn't going to be able to do everything for them anymore,
Mm.
And so they needed something in there, and I needed them to understand like why things were different for a little while, so that if I had to stop and take a break, they weren't going to question it, And so no, I think that the amount we gave them was good, and we tried to keep them positive that this wasn't going to be something that was not going to end. It was temporary.
When you think back through this whole process, and obviously we haven't even talked about the whole process, but I'm imagining this is the worst part right here,
Yeah.
dealing with all this.
Mm-hmm.
Was there ever a time that you're just like, I'm done. I
No.
don't want any more chemo?
No.
What was your, I mean, that was a quick no, which I'm
Mhm.
glad to hear,
Yeah.
but what was your motivation?
My kids.
Kiddos?
And my husband, but my kids, I don't want them without a mom.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that makes sense. That was the proper answer, Lee.
yeah. 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 No, they were my biggest driver. And my parents were, and my mother-in-law, all extremely supportive. So I had the support system, definitely, and even friends and obviously coworkers too. So I had a very good support system, which carried me through a lot of stuff too.
And that actually was going to be my next question, was
Mhm.
coworkers and employment. I mean, that
Mhm.
that was pretty good. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
handled it as best as they could as an employer.
Yeah. No, I mean, I did tell my direct supervisor and our chief actually before I was officially diagnosed too,
Mhm.
because either way, I knew that something was going to be happening, whether it was surgery to get rid of a cyst or,
Yep.
Something was wrong. And I kind of was trying to give them a heads up of, hey, we got something going on. So they knew ahead of time. And right from the get go, our chief spent a lot of time with me the day that I got the official word, just trying to assure me that it was fine, that we would work through it and everything. So I'd never once, worried about my job or anything like that. And had a ton of support from coworkers, including our fire department too, which was surprising to me. But, obviously a super pleasant surprise that I had that support from everybody, which
Yeah.
was awesome.
Yeah, I think in cases like this, especially when it's coworkers, I mean, it really does become
Mhm.
one big family.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know, my way of dealing with this was always screwing around with you.
Yeah.
I mean, the laughter, or the
Mm-hmm.
distraction, if you will, and I think that's our kind of work that we do, that's needed.
Yep. Absolutely.
So.
Mm-hmm.
So we're 6 months of chemo, and then we do surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so not that I need any gory specifics or want any gory specifics, but surgery occurs. Is that a hospitalization?
No, it was the same day surgery, like home that night.
Was it as crazy as my back surgery, like when I was
No.
out in 6 hours?
No. My surgery, I want to say, was like 3 hours, but it was because they did reconstruction right away too.
As part of the same
Yeah.
surgery?
Yep.
Okay.
So with breast cancer, there's a lot that do reconstruction right away, and there's a lot that wait till later until they're done with all the treatment. Then they'll go back in for reconstruction.
So did you research that? Like pros and cons?
Yes. And part of it, again, is by type, because with my type, the reoccurrence rate was the exact same with lumpectomy, which is what I had,
Mhm.
or a mastectomy. And my surgeon had initially said that, but I also did my own research and found the exact same from, Mayo and everything else, so from reputable sites or clinics where I felt confident with that. So I was able to do both in the same day
Mhm.
and was sent home that afternoon from surgery.
So if there is somebody who's listening to this right now and they're facing this diagnosis, it's really dependent on the type of breast cancer.
Their recommendation is yes.
Okay.
Also family history. So I mentioned that my mom had had breast cancer before. Before they do any treatment, they actually did genetic testing on me as well. So they took a lot of blood and sent it in to see if I carried a certain gene that is more prone to hereditary cancer, because they thought, oh, yeah, her mom just had it. There's a good chance that I had this gene. I didn't have the gene.
Hmm.
So it wouldn't have been something hereditary for me. And my type of cancer was very different than her type of breast cancer.
Okay.
So they weren't related, just luck of timing.
Just coincidence.
Yep.
Wow.
But so I had already done that genetic testing. So that was another thing that nudged the surgeon to say you really don't necessarily need a mastectomy with this type. And then also because there's no family history. So I wasn't at an increased rate of having it recur because of the family history.
Okay.
So there's a few different things that they take into account when they recommend a surgery type. And I could have chosen either, but with it being the exact same reoccurrence and then my specific type and kind of history, I went with it less invasive just because as a mom of young kids, I didn't want to be out for as long.
Okay. So surgery and then radiation after
Mhm.
surgery, and that's just because it's very focused. And is that like just cleanup work? I mean,
Yeah.
is that, I
Yep.
don't want to sound
Mm-hmm.
rude about it. I mean, but is that kind of what that is?
Yeah, because it's localized to the area that was affected. So it's not a systematic treatment like chemo is.
So how long did you have to do radiation, or how many treatments of radiation?
I don't remember exactly how many treatments, but it was probably close to 30 because it's over a month and you go daily
Oh, wow.
during the week. So it's Monday through Friday. And they gave me like the holidays off because it was in the fall. So I got Thanksgiving off.
Oh, how
But
nice.
all other days you go once a day. So, and I know it was over a month. I think it was probably about 30 treatments.
So by the time you finished
Mm-hmm.
your last radiation appointment,
Mm-hmm.
how long has this process been from you discovering the lump to last day of radiation?
It had been almost a year, but then I ended up doing oral like pill chemo too after that.
Oh, that's right. I forgot
So
about
my
that.
full treatment was over a year, but till the end of radiation, it was about 10 months.
When you took the pill form of the chemo, did you lose your hair a second time?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so that was, but the first time you did.
Mhm.
What was that like?
Losing my hair.
I mean, I'm bald, but I'm bald and beautiful. I mean, how is it for a lady to lose their hair? Is that
For me, it was more, you look very sick with that, obviously. So some people opt to wear wigs. I have never even liked hats on my scalp because it drives me crazy. So I knew I wouldn't want to wear wigs. I think the harder part is when it first starts coming out because I joked that I looked like I had mange. I had chunks of hair missing and it wasn't all gone.
I'm laughing because I'm like, yeah, I remember that actually.
When it started coming out, we cut it super short, but didn't shave it because it can actually cause some issues with like your hair follicles if you completely shave it
Oh, wow.
right away. And because they're sensitive anyway from chemo. So my husband clipped it super short and we did this like on a weekend. I remember that it wasn't like a work night. He was home and
He buzzed you?
yeah, he buzzed me. That was hard.
That's a first.
Yeah.
No, I would imagine that was very hard.
It was hard because my hair was super long at that point. And obviously then you really look different. I didn't look different before that. Looked normal.
It's a physical change.
And by Monday, it was obnoxious. My hair. It was half gone by then. It was the wind would blow and someone would fly out. Like it was
Really?
just letting go. So I was like, this is just awkward. So yeah, I went to work that Monday. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
oh my gosh. Like I just, it was very odd. But a trick that I found, which I actually told a friend whose wife was going through cancer, is the lint rollers. The sticky
Oh yeah,
rollers.
I've got some in the closet.
Somebody had said, "Oh yeah, use that on your head when it's coming out, and it'll help get the loose ones off." And so I lint rolled my head. I have videos of me lint rolling my head, and it would come off with just sheets of hair.
Gosh, that's awesome.
So yeah, you learn these tricks that you really don't ever want to have to know, but you find them helpful sometimes.
You don't know what you don't know, but if you know, you know.
Yeah, so I lint rolled my head till it was gone.
Wow.
And then
I'm in my mind. I'm trying to picture this, because obviously I saw you at work, but you didn't tell me these.
No, I
not
didn't
that I
lint roll at
expected
work,
you to.
but I did at night.
Hey Lee, did you lint roll your head
Yeah.
last night? I mean, you're
Yeah.
missing some more hair today.
Exactly. Yep. So I got rid of it as soon as I could after that because it was awful. But no, I wore head coverings sometimes, but never wigs. It was just like the cotton head coverings.
Okay, not like the bandana kind of.
No.
Okay. I
Um,
remember seeing you with one of those.
so no, I think the hardest part was, especially with my kids, if I was somewhere where there was a bunch of other kids, they never knew what was going on. My kids knew.
Oh, of
that
course.
My hair was gone for this. But you could tell that people would stare sometimes, and especially kids. I'm like, I have kids myself. I know that if anything's different, they don't know what's going on. They don't know
They stare.
the right reaction, that we would have typically. But so that was, I would notice that. Other than that, nobody really ever said anything to me about it. If they didn't know what was going on, they never said anything, so it was different, but it wasn't anything like traumatic with it.
Right.
Other than when he was cutting it off, I was like, oh boy, this is real now.
Did you cry when he was cutting your
Yeah,
hair?
a little bit.
I can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, my reference is totally different and
Yeah.
weird, but you see videos of
Yeah.
like the barber shops.
Yeah.
When you see the girls or the guys go in and
Mm-hmm.
they'll buzz their hair and then they'll turn around, the barber will buzz their own hair in
Yeah.
support of them.
Yep.
I don't know why, but I watch those kind of videos.
The boys did clip their hair that night, special because mom
did?
was doing it too.
Did they really?
It was like
See,
a
that's
barber
what
party.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's that support. It's that, yeah. But I mean, it's also emotional.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
So how have you been feeling since the diagnosis? Wait, well, actually, before I go there, I want to back up just a little bit. There's a bell. Do you get to ring a bell?
Mhm.
Is that like legit?
Yep.
Did you ring a bell?
I did ring a bell.
And how did that feel?
It was good. My parents actually came. They came to that appointment because
Oh.
that's a little interesting because before I had surgery, I rang it at chemo. And while I was there, I said, well, what if I have to come back for chemo? Because they don't know about your lymph nodes or if there's any cancer left till they actually do a surgery.
Of course.
And they said, no, he'll just ring it again. So there was no question of, okay, you may or may not.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm like, that just felt weird. I'm like, I don't know for sure that I'm done.
I don't know if I want to ring the bell.
Right. But yep, my parents came to that appointment, rang the bell. And it was still nice because it's still a milestone. I'm finishing the long haul with chemo. And at that point, I didn't know that chemo after surgery would not be IV. I would not have to go into the clinic for that. It was a prescription I took at home. So I didn't know that at that point. I knew it was a type of chemo. I had no idea it was not losing my hair again. It wasn't.
Was there any radiation or biohazard markers on your medications?
Oh, yeah.
Was there really?
Yep.
I was being a total smart aleck.
No, they have to wear gowns even when they give it to you. It's
And they're
very
giving it to you.
serious. Yeah.
See, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose, if that's the only option
Yeah.
you have, you're going to do it. But there's something just really weird about that.
And you, this is going to be TMI, but a lot of times you're supposed to flush the toilet twice when you pee because you're peeing out some of the chemo drugs too.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, there's like major rules with it so that you don't.
So you're throwing radiation in the toilet, basically.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So trying to protect Ben and the kids that they want to make sure it is gone before some.
Oh my goodness.
So it is. It's
I mean,
a lot.
to me, that's not TMI. That's just a very real thing.
Yeah.
It's. I've never thought of that,
Mhm.
but I guess that makes sense. Wow.
It's a nasty drug, but it does wonders sometimes too.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So post ringing bell, how have you felt since?
Pretty good. It took a long time to get energy back up to where normal day-to-day stuff wasn't still pretty tiring.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, the kids keep me busy. So through chemo, I really didn't have very much time where I just wasn't able to do the day-to-day stuff. It was slower and I took naps, but I didn't ever really just like sit on the couch all day while Ben did everything. I didn't have that chance with him working. So, I still pushed through life, but it didn't feel normal until a long time after chemo. So now I think my energy level is back to normal. But also with chemo, I'll back way up. You get chemo brain. which
Oh,
is a
I
side
know
effect.
exactly what you're talking about there.
Yeah, you're like, you still have that.
I got to
day-to-day."
experience that with you.
Yes, you did. So
Chemo brain. It's like pregnancy brain.
times 10. Yeah, it's bad. And still now, today, and this is a common thing with cancer patients too, I will still get stumbled up on words that I should be able to pull out of my head, and I'm like, what the hell am I thinking of?
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Well,
It's,
I mean,
and
look
that'll
what
still happen.
look what I did at the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
And I don't have chemo
Yep.
brain.
And it's not too often,
It's getting old.
but it's words that I really shouldn't be struggling to think of. And sometimes I'm like, oh boy, so it's still there sometimes, but overall things are pretty normal now.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So how has your life changed as a result of this, as far as your outlook, or, I mean, do you find yourself, I don't want to say paranoid, but I mean, do you find yourself just being uberly sensitive, uberly aware of a potential reoccurrence, or
Sometimes, but the reoccurrence signs for a lot of times are that you'll get a random pain or a side effect that is not from an illness, So if all of a sudden I started having a severe cough and had no other, illness signs, then would have to worry about lung cancer. Or a common thing is brain cancer or bone cancer from my type of cancer. If it comes back, it can come back in those forms. So sometimes I've never had bone pain, but I think anything like that would probably throw me for a loop a little bit.
Yeah.
Much faster than you or somebody that hasn't dealt with it.
Right.
Um,
Hypersensitive about it, I would imagine.
yeah. And I really never get headaches. So if I started getting those, I'd probably start worrying. But so I think, little body aches or things like that I probably wouldn't have thought anything of before. Now I am more aware of how quickly it goes away, and is it all day? Is it just when I'm doing, XYZ? Because if you get anything for more than 2 weeks, the oncologist wants to see you to make sure that it's nothing.
Oh, wow.
More.
Okay. So, I mean, at least there's a safety plan built into it.
Yeah. So I would say I'm more aware of that. I only have to go for mammograms still once a year because they don't like the excessive radiation of ongoing PET scans if there's not a alarm going off.
Right.
That something else is going on. So I get blood work and mammograms once a year. Blood work is more often. I think that's twice a year now. But I do worry about those. Obviously, the mammograms more ahead of time but the other problem with that is my very first mammogram was a diagnosis of cancer. I never had a normal one before that.
Oh.
So that, is different in itself, that now I do worry about those more. But with my chart, I usually find out before I'm even home from the appointment that, yep, you're fine. And then it's obviously a huge weight off my shoulders for that time. But other than that, no, I think we had not found our home church before diagnosis.
I was going there next.
Yeah, but that's a big thing. Obviously the power of praying is huge for me. Even if it's, I'm praying for grace, if I'm just really overly worried about something, or just comfort that things will be fine, whatever it is, So that's something that I definitely turn to a lot quicker than I ever did before this journey. So
would you say prior to diagnosis, and it sounds like I'm throwing a label on there, but I'm trying to gauge how you changed or how this thing has affected you. Would you consider yourself a Christian before this occurred?
Yes, but very,
Lukewarm?
oh yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
So this whole thing was transformative to your faith
yeah,
then as well.
yeah,
Okay.
pretty much immediately. So, of course, I joined some cancer pages right when I was diagnosed, and a big common theme on there was that something that was of huge value to people going through treatment was their faith.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay, there's something going on here because all these people are saying the same thing. And your friend Roy from our old
Oh yeah, we know
former
Roy.
chaplain, he actually sent me an email very quickly after my diagnosis was shared with the department that um, it instantly brought me to tears because by that point I was still very much questioning, like, am I going to live through this? Because
Right.
it was very fresh. And he actually made a comment in his email to me that um, even though it was a shock to us, it was not a shock to God, and that he wanted me to trust him more, through this diagnosis.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh crap, that makes sense, and here we are. But very quickly after um, diagnosis, we found our church that we've now been at since.
Hmm.
And I remember actually, I was trying to look through my emails to see what Roy said because I knew like the gist of it, but I was trying to remember exactly what he said. So I still have that email. And in there, I said, hey, I think we actually found our home church, but I had a sick kid at home. So we hadn't actually gone in person, but we were watching it online.
Yeah.
And then we started going in person and have never left now. So we're very active in the church now. But that was a very big transformation.
Well,
through this.
people say, and I could speak for myself. It's either you grow up in the church
Mhm.
or where God provides a very large motivator,
Yeah.
one way or another,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
I needed the motivator, and it sounds like you needed the motivator too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, with that, and that of course can be a story for another day because I want to be respectful of your time here. But is how is your your outlook, your day to day outlook? Would you say you're more happy go lucky now, or a little more concerned? I mean, you waiting for the other shoe to drop off, or what? What's
No, I I don't know that how much of that has really changed for me.
hmm,
Um Sometimes if there's challenges, sometimes I will kind of reflect back on it and say, okay, I'm not dealing with this kind of a problem again. So most other problems are very minuscule compared to that.
yeah,
So I do sometimes look at it in that view, but no, I wouldn't say kind of waiting for the shoe to drop because we've had in our family, we've had our fair share of struggles, just as everybody else has. But
mhm,
when I was diagnosed, Ben's mom, who's my husband, my mother-in-law, was actually in the hospital herself dealing with other health concerns. So that was very bad timing for the diagnosis because we
yeah,
were already stressed, with her situation.
absolutely.
So, it's like that was kind of a perfect storm type situation because everything felt like it was falling apart then. But now, since then, I wouldn't say too much has changed
Mhm.
since then.
So here's the moment of wisdom that you get to pass on. If there's I'm not going to say a gal because men get breast cancer too, but or just cancer in general. If there's anybody that was listening to this right now and you could offer them words of encouragement or things to consider as they're starting to go down their cancer diagnosis journey, what would you share with them?
Um, I and this is a pretty common theme, I think, with people who've gone through cancer, but one of the biggest things, especially for my breast cancer, was that once a plan is in place and things are rolling, things get a lot easier to handle stress-wise because it is a absolute tornado with appointments and doctor's appointments that first month of just trying to figure out, okay, this is where we're at, this is what we need to do. But once that actually starts, life gets a lot more manageable. because it was very, very stressful initially, very scary. But once treatment is going, it's better. So a lot of times, like on these cancer pages that I still follow, when people are first diagnosed and in the absolute, hell of all of that, everyone will say that you need to get through the first month and get things started, and then it'll be better. So that part, and then I think you actually had mentioned something of this nature to me, but also another friend had too, that when people offer help when you're going through that, take that help, because it is they want to help, and if they don't know how they can, a lot of times that's harder on people that care about you. But also, we did like a meal train. We had some other help through different avenues that really were beyond helpful for us to be able to manage the day-to-day stuff. We had meals up until I was done with chemo delivered to our house. And with 2 kids and a husband that's working half the nights of the week, that was a lifesaver.
Yeah, totally.
Which I beforehand was very independent and I would never ask for help unless it was an absolute could not handle it myself. That's not something I would ever choose, but accepted that help. And so I would say that too, to accept help that's offered, because they will make your life easier and it helps them too.
Yeah, and I remember that conversation.
Yeah.
And what I always mean by that is, and I learned this from Roy as well, actually, over the years. I need to have Roy on the podcast, I think.
You do.
But he had told me early on in our relationship that everybody has gifts. And we know this, right? As believers, we kind of know the gifts. And sometimes, often people have the gift of hospitality. And by not allowing them to help you, you're robbing them of that gift that they want to give you. And it's not so much about, you not being able to do it, or it's about them exercising their gift of hospitality.
Yep.
And Roy told me that years ago. I couldn't even tell you, 15 years ago. I have no idea. It was a long time ago. But, and that's what, I would throw that on top of everything you've just said is, let people help you.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's not a pride thing. It's people don't know what to do. They can only say sorry so often. They can only, what can I do with you? What can I do for you? I suppose that question was probably asked a lot. Yeah. But that is something very practical.
The other gift, I would call it a gift, is that you actually know her too, but Jess Stanton. She's a good friend of ours that I've known for many, many years. And one thing that she had a gift for too is sending me notes, texts, or even like on my Facebook page or my Caring page. But she actually would remember when I was having chemo, and she would say, "Hey, I'm thinking of and praying for you today." And that, probably took 30 seconds of her day.
Yep.
But knowing that people were remembering and were praying, I was like, okay, that's like a blanket of comfort, So even that, if I would say, even if you know somebody going through that quick note of, hey, I'm thinking of you, and, is something that goes a long way too.
So the lint roller story is kind of humorous. I'm not gonna lie. When you said that, I was like, what?
Yeah.
But kind of on that lighter side, what's the strangest or most unexpected way that humor may have helped you out through this thing?
Well, I reminded Wyatt of this the other day. I had a lot of very random but temporary side effects too. And one of them was bloody noses, like out of nowhere. And you don't have nasal hair anymore either. That's another fun fact.
Oh my gosh.
You lose your hair everywhere. So I didn't have to shave my legs or armpits for 6 months.
You probably like that part.
Yep. But you also lose eyebrows, you lose eyelashes, and you lose your nose hairs. So I would get random bloody noses just out of nowhere. And on his birthday, I had a real gusher, and I was like, oh my Lanta, he still loves me, and I'm gushing blood everywhere on his birthday. And, so now we can look back and laugh at that. But, it's little things that it was just so random. It was terrible in the moment, but now I'm like, really? So now it's funny.
Yeah.
3 years later.
I'm still stuck on you lost your nose hairs.
Yeah.
I'm like, of course you did.
Yep.
I mean, that's,
Yep.
knowing how chemo works, that makes
everything.
sense. Oh, geez. Wow. Well, I do want to thank you. I want to be respectful of your time. We've gone a little longer than I really anticipated, but I didn't want to stop. Because I think your story, if somebody can learn from some of the things that you did, some of your cheats and hacks, I guess, if you will, or just that will to push through, just the different things that you were dealing with. If somebody can learn from that, I mean, it's totally worth it. So I want to thank you. Thank you for coming out to my fancy studio here.
Yeah.
As we look around, the studio dog was quiet.
Yeah,
She actually
exactly.
didn't make too much noise.
Mm-hmm.
A couple times she licked me, and I'm like, "Oh, dog, leave me alone." But thank you, Lee. Is there anything else you want to have to say? Bye bye or anything like that? In other words, we'll end it.
I will just say thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate you joining me, and everybody have a great week. Enjoy the warm summer that we're in the middle of, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for tuning in to Under Investigation. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to dive deeper or stay updated on everything we're working on, check out our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/weareunderinvestigation. We'd also love to hear from you. Got questions, feedback, or a story to share? You can text or call us at 763-634-1210. Your input helps shape the show, so don't be shy. Until next time, stay curious, stay questioning, and keep investigating.